and we are on to the next project. I will show you. So the next project is this receiver. Is the way I bought the truck. It is just a plate, looks like 1/4 inch plate that is bolted into the bottom of this bumper. The bumper is got some pretty nice, looks like 1/2 inch plate steel here to connect it, so it is pretty stout for what it is, not being a full receiver. So this plate is under here and it's starting to rust through, and the one bolt broke on the end here, so that's not good. And you can tell that where that's sandwiched in there, it's all rusted. So I've never had that off in this truck. I might have to see what's going on, but it's these 2 bolts here, and then there's a 4th one on the back side, and then the 5th one, or the other 2 on the outside. So I'm going to take those bolts off. They're probably going to break because they're rusted, and get this cleaned up and see if I can reuse these parts or see what I got to do. Back and forth, that's how you get them off. That's what I figured. Totally just scaled rust. Because it's sandwiched in there. I mean, look at these. These are like cookies. Show you the next step. We're just gonna clean it up and reassemble it, I think. We got somewhere. The entire thing is, I used a flap disc on a grinder. As you can see there, went through about 3 or 4 of them. And I got it all scuffed. It's not completely bare metal, but it's okay. And then these are where the bolts were, so I ground that down because it was pretty rusted. And then for the actual hitch plate slash receiver tube situation, I scuffed that side, which wasn't that was the bottom. And then this side was really heavy scaled stuff, so I chiseled it away with a like a pry bar and a hammer first on both sides, the truck and this side, and then I just did the same thing here. It's really pitted, but it's probably 1/4 inch plate. I didn't actually measure it, but it's what it looks like, so it's still good enough. I just wanted to halt the rust for a couple more years. How about that? Maybe a year, I don't know. Oh, Sherman heard me talking. How you doing, Sherman? How you doing, Sherman? Okay. Well, you told everybody how you were doing. That's good. I've been running the grinder for probably over an hour, so you heard me talking and the grinder's not running, so it comes out. So the next step is I'm just going to take a Scotch-Brite pad and just kind of get it in some of the corners the best I can that I couldn't get the grinder, just to kind of scuff it a decent amount. And I'm actually going to try a new product I've never tried before. It's Rusty Metal Primer. It's a brush-on product from Rust-Oleum, and it's, I think, red, but we'll see how that looks. I'm going to brush that on, and I might pick up some black Rust-Oleum brush-on paint for this, or I'll just spray over the primer. What do you think, Sherman? What do you think? What do you think, Sherman? Here is the paint. Rusty Metal Primer.
It's thick at the bottom.
Oh yeah. Here is the situation. Got this primed. This stuff is really thin. I did use seam sealer. I pulled some old seam sealer out that was used, and so I reapplied some new in there, let it dry for a little bit, and then I primed both the bottom. Look at all the drips. Nice. It's okay. The bottom and there, and here I primed this batwing. So I'll let this dry for a bit, and I have some satin Rust-Oleum black brushable. I'm going to try and brush this whole situation. Now, I usually just spray paint, but we'll see how it works, see how long it lasts. not too concerned on how it looks. It's just the receiver. Oh, I did drill these out. These bolts out for 5/8. They needed a little bit more. The bolts that were in there, I think, were 9/16 bolts, which was kind of weird. So I just drilled them out to put 5/8 back in. Someone took a torch and just torched that hole. So that one didn't have the drill. I'm really done for the day. I mean, I gotta let this dry. It said for 24 hours, so. All right, it's been a few days. I'll show you what I got. Some updates. So we have the top painted with the satin black Rust-Oleum, and then this is that, like I said, that seam sealer. And I wasn't really thinking, I kind of got a little crazy with the primer, so I didn't cover it all with the black because it was kind of interfering with the silver, but I'm not too worried about it. This is going to be hard for you guys to see, but underneath here is all painted, and I plan to put another coat on. I forgot to get up on the other side right here where the bolts go, so I'll do that afterwards. But now that this surface is painted, I'll take the receiver mount. This is like the hitch receiver and the plate that's you know, part of it. So I'll bolt that all together, and once that's bolted up, then I'll do the second coat with all the bolts after all the bolts are assembled. So now is the time where I gotta go get all the bolts, make sure everything's good, put it all together, and then prime the bolts, and then put a top coat on. So I'm gonna get this thing assembled on the truck. What are you doing, Stank? Hey, what are you doing? Living the life. There's the new hitch, receiver. All the bolts are tightened up. I'm not happy with it because there's gaps in between. You can see daylight in between there, and that's probably what was going on before, is that, you know, salt, water, everything else would get in there, and then it would cause, you know, it would rust because it wouldn't dry in there, and that's why it was all flaky rust. So this plate was kind of wonky as far as it wasn't really flat, but this is part of what you get when you reuse stuff that was not perfect to begin with. I did put these chamfers in, and I'm glad I did, because it does make it a little nicer for the way it is here. Now, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cheat. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get it. I mean, some of these gaps are like 1/4 inch. I mean, it's pretty bad. I'm just going to take seam sealer and caulk this seam up with seam sealer, and then repaint it, and then hopefully that'll just keep all the crud from going in there, and it'll look better. But before I do that, I'm gonna go around and make sure that all of these are torqued good. I just use this 1/4 inch impact gun. That doesn't hit too hard. These are 5/8 bolts. So I'm gonna grab the breaker bar and make sure these things are tight. Let's test this. I just torqued those. They were actually pretty tight. This is a 4-foot pinch bar. Let's see. Let's get some leverage on here. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, it flexes the bumper, but it's only going to be as strong as that plate. This plate that the bumper is built out of. Yeah. Good. I'm lifting the whole truck pretty much. Yeah, I mean, this ain't no class 5 hitch, we'll put it that way. 150 pounds at 4 foot. That's about the most you'd want to put on that. It's flexing it pretty good. 600 pound tongue weight. It's not terrible. 6,000 pound trailer. So I ended up using Caulk Saver, which is this is like a foam noodle that you can buy to fill in some of the gap on some of these really wide gaps. So it'll save on some of the seam sealer I gotta use. And there's already pollen on here, so I'm gonna take a little alcohol, wipe that down, and then put the seam sealer on. So there's your seam sealer. Got that in there. You can obviously see all the white. And then also there was a hole there. Oh, that was for the ball, if you actually use it as a bumper. So that would have allowed water to seep in there, so I seam sealed that. There are 2 holes here. I don't know how I'm going to seal those yet, if I am going to, but as you can see, I went all the way around and did that, so it's as best as it's going to be for the situation. So this is the stuff I'm using. It's called Evercoat Pro Grade, or Evercoat Body Shop Pro Grade Seam Sealer, brushable and paintable for sealing exterior joints, blah blah blah. So, and then a trick is to use Windex on your finger. Wet your finger with the Windex. This stuff doesn't tool very well, but it's doable. The Windex helps a lot. So there's your tricks. So I forgot to install this trailer. Oh, I primed the bolts and nuts, but I forgot to install this trailer plug here. I need to figure out how to install that. This was glossed up, so I scuffed it with Scotch-Brite so that'll give it a tooth. Here is my 7-pin that I have wired previously. So let's see if this fits. Wow, that took longer than expected. So I always forget this, but every time that I gotta take this entire assembly apart for the trailer 7-pin here plug to get the bracket on, because you can't get it through there. So what a pain in the butt. It's just time consuming. Got the bracket on there, as you can see. I drilled it out for 1/4-20s and I re-drilled another hole so that I could utilize the one hole that was already here, just like that hole there. So there was one on this side, so I used that hole, and then I drilled one more, just one hole, and that's it. Primed it, primed that. Got everything primed. I just primed it, so now I'm waiting a little bit of time. These I primed a while ago. The seam sealer it's a little tacky, but it's fine. I'm gonna put the tools away and then top coat it. There is the completed product. Other than I didn't bolt up the 7-pin yet because I'm letting that bracket dry. But everything is done. So there you go. That is going to conclude this short video of redoing the rear receiver on the old '78 Chevy. I'll see you on the next video.